And welcome back. Thank you for staying with Citizen TV and Live at 9. We're back on Opinion Court for our final part of the discussion. And now we want to discuss the question of devolution. This is what the president said in his address. He said, of course, they've given more funds than the Constitution required, from 15% to 32%. He said they've gone ahead to devolve most functions ahead of the 3 years envisaged in the Constitution, and given skills transfer to counties, etc. Millie, let's start with you. The court coalition has been very vehement that this government is hell-bent on derailing devolution. What do you base that premise on?
I'll tell you, when you want to kill a dog, you first give it a bad name.
Okay.
And the way that this Jubilee government is doing it is not going straight for devolution and saying devolution is bad, but you start by giving governors bad name. You know, you start an unjustified attack on governors. I know there are some governors that are bad, but they are not all bad. Like where I come from in Homa Bay, we are the leading in terms of implementing our work. But you give all bad, governors a bad name, and you forget the grand corruption and wastage at the national government and focus on the counties. I'm not saying that we should ignore them. But once, even if you listen to one of the guys who was being asked outside Parliament, he said the biggest challenge Kenya has is, devolution. So you are making devolution unpopular for Kenyans, so that Kenyans say, ultimately, the wage bill. What is this story about the wage bill?
It sounds like sentiment and not quite
devolution.
fact.
Pardon?
It sounds like sentiment and not really fact. What particular actions can you point at and say, this is what the government has done to fight
sentiment
devolution?
Is based on fact. And is it a fact that we have attacked governors? Yes. Jubilee government has attacked governors.
Has that not happened across the political divide in Parliament, that members of Parliament, MPs in fact, have all ganged up, and Adam Duale
led by Adam Duale?
Yes, but same with court,
but this is the
same with
majority
court
leader.
MPs, same with court MPs,
going
ahead to say, you know what, we need to check on governors. And is saying checking on governors the same as actually attacking them and giving them a bad name? Because the question has been oversight.
No, I agree there's an issue of oversight. But what I'm telling you is the way they are overdancing about this governor. For them, their intention is wrong. There are people whose intention is to oversight. Like for us, even in Homa Bay, I know there are issues with our governor, and we raise it. And that is oversight. But where you want to make governors unpopular, you want to make devolution unpopular, so that you can come back to Kenyans and tell Kenyans, look, did we not tell you? They are the ones that are responsible for all the issues of food security. They are the ones that are responsible for corruption. All your ills now we can blame on governance, and we are forgetting the problems that are at the national level. That's one of the problems that we have with the devolution. But secondly, the other issue that I'll blame this government on, the issue of devolution, is that devolution brings in a new system of governance. And in terms of transition, not much effort and energy has been placed. So most of those counties are having challenges of settling in.
Such as? Be specific.
I'll tell you, such as, for instance, when we are talking about transition, we set up a transition authority. What did we need to do? These governors, most of them are people who have never even worked in government. We have left them on their own with very little assistance from the transition authority that has very limited mandate. They are trying to hire, they are hiring people, some of whom have never worked before. What guidance are we giving them as a national government? We are actually setting them up for failure. So the government is not doing enough to enable the governments, the devolved governments, settle, to enable the devolved governments take off. Instead, the language you are hearing already is, let us take back certain functions from governments that are not performing. The Constitution is clear that we need to build their capacity. We are not doing that enough.
Right. Adam, what your take?
Number one, devolution is not an option. It's not a choice. It's in the Constitution. It's a whole chapter. It's not a choice for this government. This government can't kill, even future governments can't kill. That's number one. And it's not a preserve of any political party or individual. Number two, this Constitution talks about 15%. On the first year, this government has allocated 32%. As we speak today, 48 billion of the devolved funds for this financial year is still lying with the central bank. What are we saying? For me, where I sit, and Millie Odhiambo, our role is to do an oversight. The way we do an oversight on the national government, the president and his cabinet, and the money we allocate to the national government, the Senate and the county assemblies under the Constitution and under the County Government Act, they have to oversight. Every penny must be accounted for. So from where I sit, let me give you an example of the element of, and finally, that's my final take, the element of, the controversial element of the flags. If you read Section 5 of the County Government Act, it says every county of the 47 must design their own flag, their own public seal, their own coat of arms. Today, because of the patent right, today the only governor out of the 47 who was applied to the Attorney General to protect his patent right is the governor of Kisumu. Like Emilio Odhiambo, I have no problem with my governor, the governor of Garissa. I have been there. He's trying with all the challenges. But let us not politicize. When we ask for accountability, public resources, where I come from, for 50 years we have never had proper health sector, proper infrastructure, water system, water and sanitation. The solution for the people of northern Kenya is devolution. So that baby called devolution, we will guide it, we will make sure the little resources that we get is oversighted. And that's why the Deputy President was saying, the moment you say accountability, then you are branded, you are anti-devolution.
All right, Professor, what do you think?
Because
my thinking is this. It's true there are problems with regards to devolution, and we really need to fix these problems. And one of them is that the national government should withdraw some officers. This provincial administration staff, I don't understand it. I've been in school for many years, but I don't understand what they are doing.
But it is the law.
They are doing some things that set up parallel systems to start undermining the governors. But having said that, I think the opposition in this country sometimes, most of them behave like foxes. They set up traps, they participate in the conspiracy and run on the sideline and start accusing another person for causing it. If you look at the voting patterns in parliament, anytime the question, the bashing of governors, the bashing of county governments has not been the preserve of Jubilee. In fact, in some cases, the voices from the Code Coalition and the other opposition have been more. This matter of flags is really trivial. And the parliament is engaging in this just to make sure that it fixes governance. And if you look at the voting patterns, again, both sides of the divide participated in this. So looking at the president's speech with regard to devolution, even if the president might have had reservations about the constitution before he changed his mind and the deputy president campaigned against it, probably they might support the devolution more than some of the people who really said they supported this constitution. So really, when we talk about this, let us not keep it to one political wing. There are so many enemies of devolution within CORD. There are also so many enemies of devolution within what? Within Jubilee. Let us isolate them as
starting with the president and the deputy. Who should be the champions? They are the first enemies. So if they are the enemies, if the president and the deputy are enemies, then it goes without saying that it's as good as that.
I mean,
Professor,
yes.
let's bring in Abdikadir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. First of all, I think every key speech the president has given, devolution was at the heart. Look at every key speech he has given, from the inaugural up to today. Number two, one of the first executive actions the president took was bring together a team of experts, a group from the governors, and a team from the national government to chart the path of implementing the issues on devolution and fast-tracking the coming into office of the devolved governments. The report that team gave was the subject of the first summit between the governors and the president. That report, 95% of those suggestions or measures have been implemented. Number two, you asked a very key point. What are the issues? I am very proud of the process devolution has gone through. Look, a year ago, none of those governments were in existence. These are all new governments, new legislatures, new executives, new cabinet, new system. We have done very well in bringing a completely new system from the scratch to where it is now. And the president has been very clear. So it's really very unfair that every time somebody speaks, the issue is whether the president is genuine or not. He is. I have worked very closely with him. This is one of the key issues we were working on with Millie in terms of the new constitution.
What do you do to end this suspicion?
Well, I think it's really very, very unfair, but we have to. We must.
You can end the suspicion when the president stops talking and starts acting.
No, we can end this one.
Or then he should stop talking and act.
Aden, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. The whole thing is suspicion. Not only between the national government and the county governments, but even between the Senate and the National Assembly.
Yeah.
The whole governance structure, there's suspicion. But I think in totality, the constitution is very clear and we are working for the same people. Service delivery. If the national government and the county government, let me give you an example. I was in Garissa over the weekend. For the first time in the history, since I was born, I have seen the fruits of devolution. 7 new ambulances, 350 new health workers employed. Today, even if I walked to the president and there was no county government, the best I could have got with the leader of majority was 2 ambulances and maybe 20 new health workers. The fruits of devolution are there. We have challenges in terms of infrastructure. We have not built it, as the professor said. But if each group follows the constitution and does his bit in service delivery, and we leave the squabbles.
I'll tell you what would be nice for Kenyans to see. Just hold on a minute. It would be nice to see you as the leader of majority take that position in parliament and lead your members into bills that actually support devolution.
Exactly.
And you be the first one not to point fingers at governors.
That's why you're going wrong.
Why? Why is that wrong?
Legislative policies and bills for devolution are supposed to be in the Senate. The 22 bills that the president talked about, and you'll agree with me, 20 of them are from the National Assembly. So we are doing our bit.
But who is the leader in the Senate?
No, there's a leader in the Senate. There's a leader of majority in the Senate.
Let me come
No,
to
there's a
your
leader.
aid. Honorable Dwale, let me come to your aid.
Yes, sir.
As the leader of majority,
Yes.
one of the things you need to do
Yes.
is that probably the national government has been generous enough to give over 15% of the national budget to the county governments.
Yes.
What you need to do is to initiate proper legislation so that we members of the public can hold these governors to account. Part of their reason, the reason why they exist is to raise revenue.
You know what we're doing?
All they are looking at is money from the national government.
But can I say something about
before-
that?
Please hold on.
Can I say something about
no,
because he spoke
No, before me,
just,
say-
no,
No,
it's not majority.
Let me respond. Let me
Let
respond.
Yeah, the women are reigning.
Please,
Let me
let him
respond.
respond.
What the
Go
professor
ahead.
raised is very, very important. After the scenario that happened in Embu County over Governor Wambora, a member of the National Assembly has initiated a process where a Kenyan member of the Kenyan society from any county can bring a petition to Parliament. He's doing an amendment.
Yes.
Can bring a petition to Parliament, to the National Assembly, in fact, to be more precise.
Yes.
And the National Assembly will investigate through a committee that member's petition and recommend, just like the way the cabinet, the Senate recommends, for actions to be taken against that county. That legislation is being brought by a
You
member.
see, now we are taking
I've
the
had a
role
court-
of other
a court- a court
the role
member
of
of
other
Parliament.
institutions.
Millie, I want us to
As
wind
well.
up. I want us to
Professor,
wind
can
up.
I say
No,
something?
no,
Can
no,
I say
Professor,
something
about national
about
budget?
Please,
resources?
please,
National
one
budget.
at a time,
Yes.
please.
Can I say
Please,
something
yes,
about
do.
the budget?
Yes, yes.
And Honorable Abdikadir will tell you, we had actually suggested 40%. And I remember even where Honorable William Ruto used to sit and where Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta used to sit. We're in the same committee with them and him. Honorable William Ruto went and sat with Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta and they reduced it to 15%. We had said 40%.
You are lying on a national television.
No, I'm not lying. You
No,
can
no,
check
you
the
are lying.
answer. You
You are
can check
lying
the
on the national
answer.
television.
William Ruto proposed 15%, and he did not
I
even
wish,
say no less than, he
I-
said no more than 15%.
I wish the national coalition was
and
in
what
place.
I can tell you, if you
It's
look
hate
at the devolved roles, if you looked at the devolved roles and the 32% they are saying, it is not sufficient. with the devolved roles that we are giving the counties, you must give them at least 50%.
But really,
that is when they are able to effectively.
How much are they also raised on their own?
It's one thing to have a suggestion, but the Constitution
If you have
is clear
poor
in
places
terms
like
of
us.
Millie,
No, the
please.
Constitution only says
Does-
of less, not more.
Exactly.
So they
but
can be given
no,
even
Millie,
70%.
Please, I agree with you. They can be given up to
One
70%.
question.
But I think the point the president was making, to be fair, hold on, is that we've gone above and beyond what the Constitution has limited. Whether or not that should
It's
be,
not above.
hold on, whether or not that should be expanded, may be the subject
question.
of another debate. No, because we must move on.
No, just 1 minute.
No, please,
1 minute.
please.
No, this is helpful.
All right, Aidan, all right.
No, no,
One last
1
one. Go
minute.
ahead.
I want to tell you.
Okay,
Jubilee
okay.
manifesto, when we were campaigning, we said we will offer 40% to devolved government. The Code Coalition, which is the member of, didn't even offer 1%. I want to challenge her. Jubilee, in its manifesto, said if we take over power, we will do 40%. First year we did 32%. This year, if we add the 48 billion lying in the central bank, it will be 40%. I want Millie Odhiambo to tell the country
Yes, I
what
can.
was in the manifesto of
Yes,
Code.
I can tell you.
What
Code
percentage?
is all about devolution. We would have given 90%.
We cannot
But
discuss
because we moved it
We
constitutionally,
cannot discuss
then
your
they are saying
manifestos
about
here. We
manifesto
cannot-
as we are talking about constitution.
I want to agree
We
with
moved it
Prof. I want to agree with
We
Prof on
cannot
this
discuss
one,
your
that we
manifesto
cannot
thing.
discuss manifestos here. Professor,
You think as
Professor,
the majority leader, this country is more united today than it was 1 year ago?
It's very united.
It
is
is
not.
divided.
It is divided.
Gentlemen, lady,
And that
please,
was
we
peace.
must move now
Out
to
of
the most
peace.
important part of the show, which is not our opinion, it's the opinion of Kenyans watching. So, on that happy note, let's take a look at what you've been saying to us, and thank you so much for writing in. Let's read through what you have to say. All right, are we able to get that feedback?
1%, zero.
I'm so sorry. It seems we're not able to do that. I truly apologize that we're not able to take your feedback, but I will prevail on each one of you who's been here. Please do go back on social media and engage with our audience. They've been very kind to write into us. And I suppose,
I'm very active on
especially for
Twitter.
those of you who are in Parliament, you may learn a thing or two about what the heartbeat of the people is. I want to thank you all sincerely for coming. I want to thank you so very much for your views. To my immediate right, Abdi Kadir Mohammed. He's, of course, the President's advisor on various issues, devolution, constitution. Thank you for coming. Professor Edwin Kisiangani, our resident political analyst. Thank you to you. Millie Odhiambo,
Mabona.
thank you so much for
Mabona.
coming.
Millie Odhiambo,
Mabona.
Mabona,
Yes.
kabisa.
Especially since he's sitting next to me. Mabona must be clear.
Oh my. Thank you for coming, Millie. I hope to host you again. And of course, Honorable Aidan Duale, who is the leader of the majority. Such a fascinating conversation. Let's continue with it online on social media at Citizen TV News, at Citizen TV Kenya, at Ann Kiguta, that's ANNE, and of course on 224422. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you right here again next Thursday on Citizen Live at 9. Bye-bye.